Drawing composite shapes given an area or a perimeter. So today we are going to challenge you to think backwards. We've been spending the week on finding the area or perimeter of a composite shape. Now we're going to see if you can compose a shape given a specific area or perimeter. Now remember, for this it has to be a composite shape, so it has to be composed of more than one rectangle or square. It can just be two. You can challenge yourself to try to do 3 or 4, but it must have more than one rectangle or square. So it has to be composed of at least 2 shapes. I'm going to do an example of an area one and also an example of a perimeter one. And then I will give you your measurements for the composite shapes you need to try to compose. All right, so for the first example, if I am given the area of 30 inches squared, means I know in total my 2 or 3 or 4, however many composite shapes I want to put together, cannot give me more than 30 inches squared and cannot give me less than 30 inches squared. Have to combine, give me 30 inches squared. So the most simple way I think of this is think of 2 shapes, 2 rectangular shapes. So if I take 30 inches squared and I break it into 2 shapes, that means each shape would have to equal 15 inches squared. So if I think of area and I think of all the different lengths and widths I can multiply to give me 15, my options would be my factors of 15, my factor pairs. So I could draw a 1 by 15, I could draw a 3 by 5, and that is it. Not a lot of factors in 15. So I'm going to try to make maybe something like a top hat. So if I start with more my 3 by 5, closer to a square type rectangle, so I'm going to do 3 by 5, so 5, I'll do 3 at top. So if I label this a 3 by 5, I know that 3 times 5, the area of this shape would be 15 inches squared. So then I'm going to put across the bottom of this a 1 by 15. And I know that a 1 by 15 would give me an area of 15. So I know that it is correctly drawn. Now I just have to put in all the missing measurements. So I'm going to erase my inside answers of 15 and my lines. So I can see if I can get now my composite shape. Almost looks like a trophy stand, or at the Olympics, you know how they stand in their places of their medals. So if it's 5 on this side, I know that I'm going to be 5 on this side. I also know that if it's 1 over here, it's going to be 1 over on the other side. So the only 2 parts I have missing so far are these 2 right here. I know that all together across it has to be 15. I know up here I have 3, so like right here would be 3. So if I take that 3 away from my 15, that leaves me 12. I have 12 inches left to put both to the right of my top hat and the left of my top hat. So I'm going to split that 12 into 6 and 6. So again, if I look at this, I know when I'm doing my composite shape, this bottom rectangle in total was a 1 by 15, which would give me an area of 15 inches squared. And if I look at my top hat part, my 3 by 5, a 3 by 5, 3 times 5 would give me 15 inches squared. So if I take my long rectangle, 15 inches squared, and I add that to my top rectangle, 15 inches squared, I will get 30 inches squared. Now I did it evenly. You don't have to break it evenly. You could say that one of your rectangles is going to be 20 inches squared and the other one's going to be 10 inches squared. So your shape might look a little different each time you do it. All right, so let's look at perimeter. How could you do the perimeter? If given a certain perimeter, how can you compose a shape? So I'm going to do let's do 20 inches. Now with perimeter, remember, I'm no longer concerned about the area inside of my rectangles. I'm concerned about adding up all the sides around the rim of my shape to get the perimeter. All right, well, let's see. I'm going to draw my shape first, and then I'm going to put in measurements. I'm going to draw a big L. All right, over here, I'm going to put 7. If this is 7, I know then that this whole side over here has to equal 7. So I'm going to make this smaller section 3, this bigger section 4. So far I have 7, and 7 is 14. I only have 6 more inches to work with. And I have 1, 2, 3 places to put it. So I'm going to put 1 centimeter here. I'm going to put 2 inches, sorry, I'm measuring in inches, 2 inches here. So now if I add that up, I have 3. I only have 3 left. So if I add around my shape, I've got a 7 plus 1 is 8, plus 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14, plus 3 is 17, plus 3 is 20 inches. Now, obviously, it's a little off because this 3 is much larger than this 3, but I have made sure that my perimeter measures 20 inches. Okay, so here we go. Here are your given areas and perimeters. We would like you to find a way to compose a composite shape that has an area of 40 inches squared. That's your first one under area. You're going to be doing 2 under each. And a composite shape that has an area of 80 inches squared. All right, now for perimeter, we want you to compose a composite shape. When adding up all the sides, you get a perimeter of 35 inches. And for your second one, we want you to come up with a shape, a composite shape that has a perimeter of 46 inches. Now, if you get all 4 of these done and you still have time left and would like to challenge yourself, I'm going to put a challenge in the middle here. Can you come up with a shape, a composite shape that has an area of 50 inches squared and a perimeter, so I'm giving you both for your one shape, perimeter of 60 inches. So when you split it into its different shapes, the area totals 50 inches squared, but when you add up all the sides of your shape, it is 60 inches squared. That is your challenge. Again, that is just an optional one. Can't wait to see what you come up with.